and McLaren remain the team to catch. McLaren, already in the record books, made sure of its place in the history books when managing director Ron Dennis presented a car last week to Lord Montagu's National Motor Museum. This was the MP4 that won 15 out of 16 Grand Prix in 1988. At Beaulieu, the car now lines up with the great names of Ferrari, Lotus, Mercedes, and the 1903 Gordon Bennett Napier.
We're very proud to have Britain's first racing car, the Napier, here. It came back from America 2 years ago, and it's quite right and proper that such a distinguished Grand Prix car is now here at Beaulieu. The most successful Grand Prix car ever, incidentally, and proudly bearing the name of the present world champion, Prost.
This year, the team's effort is behind Senna and Berger, offering preferential treatment to neither. Ron Dennis is glad to be back racing after the legal wrangling surrounding the outcome of the controversial Japanese Grand Prix that gave the '89 title to Prost and almost saw Senna quit the sport.
There's no doubt it's still an open wound. I was really quite disappointed that there weren't more people concerned with just the whole situation. It was a dispute that didn't involve any other team. It was a dispute between both of our drivers, and we had no real desire to influence the World Championship. We had none at all, in fact. It's natural that the competitors like to see us going through a process which can weaken the company, and it was that acknowledgement, that weakening process that had to be arrested.
And that was decisively done in the first Grand Prix of the 1990 season with Senna's emphatic victory in Phoenix. At the next round, Senna's home Grand Prix in Brazil, he threw away an easy win after tangling with backmarker Nakajima, the kind of elementary mistake from Senna that Ron Dennis has grown to accept.
I think you have to appreciate that Ayrton is a pure racing driver, and what he was doing in Brazil was racing. The fact that he was well in the lead, comfortably in the lead, didn't detract from the fundamental emotion of wanting to drive to his limit.
Do you feel after something like that then that it's your role to go into the motorhome and say that was a mistake and lay blame?
No, I don't think reading the Riot Act is a constructive way to go about it. The first thing is most of those incidents are better analysed 24 hours after, when you've really got all the facts. And so the initial impression is to be quite passive, quite calm. Let's wait until we get everything and da-da-da. But normally speaking, someone like Ayrton will come out and give you a very clinical analysis, which you can pretty much rely on being the total truth. And he took a lot of the responsibility, realised he'd made a mistake that had cost the team a Grand Prix win, and therefore in accepting full responsibility for his contribution, as it were, you can't be hard. You just have to recognise that it's just the downside of someone like Ayrton Senna.
Brazilian victory went to Alain Prost in the Ferrari, but in the 6 weeks since, McLaren feel they've made real progress.
Now we've had a few weeks in which to optimise the new car, whereas most people are now starting with their new cars in Imola. We've had quite a bit of running, although the weather's been appalling in Imola where we've been testing. We've still had quite a bit of running. I would say our cars are at least a second quicker than they were in the first two Grand Prix at a given circuit. So we're reasonably sure we've gone forward. How far forward, whether the others have kept up or not, only time will tell. But we'll go to Imola with a degree of confidence, not so much in our ability to win, but that at least we've improved the car since the last Grand Prix.
Main challenge at Imola, Ferrari on their home ground once again?
I think Ferrari, but Williams can't be underestimated. They have a lot of torque from their engines, and that's very much a torque circuit, so the gap will certainly close. We have a strategy of doing all our testing on half tanks, which is, in our opinion, far more of a representative configuration in which to evaluate its performance, whereas most of the other teams tend to run quite light with just a minimum amount of fuel load. So the testing times don't indicate too much. We'll only know where we are when we get to Imola, but Ferraris and Williams certainly.
You dominated the World Championship. What are the targets beyond that or aside to that? Do you set yourself any other targets in motorsport?
We are in a growth situation at the moment at McLaren. recently embarked on a production road car program. That will be a very limited edition, high-performance road car, which will be announced in 3 years in Geneva, at the Geneva Car Show. We're analysing other types of racing at the moment, and it is our intention to build a new facility with a museum, with a test circuit, and try and push forward the engineering frontiers that exist in Formula One.